Life is so busy. If you blink, you can miss something amazing. It's important to take a moment and enjoy what we have and the people around us. I'm Mo Hagan, Chief Operating Officer for CanFit Pro, and welcome to A Moment with Mo, a podcast where I will welcome some incredible guests to talk fitness and nutrition, mindset and self-empowerment, setting our goals into action, and much, much more. Now let's get chatting. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode, A Moment with Mo, where I, Mo Hagan, will be your host today. And along with my guests, we will dive deep into conversations around health, wellness, personal and professional development. Prepare to be captivated because every episode with my guest always brings meaningful and uplifting conversations as their contribution with their lived experiences and their strategies for how you can live a purposeful and meaningful life always come to the forefront of our conversation. My mission to inspire positive global change is really at the heart of all the work that I do, and it really helps bring the meaning to my work every single day. It has actually been a lifelong pursuit to not only find my why, which is your purpose that drives your contributions to the world every day that you wake up and go to work, but it also is what motivates me to help others find their why, that deep, meaningful purpose that really is like your mojo, that in every day, especially on those not so magnificent days where we could lose our way, when we know our why, the way appears. I always say that when you know why, the path appears or the way appears. And there is no one that I know any better that believes this to be true than my guest today, Lisa Greenbaum. Hi, friend.
Hi, Mo.
It's so good to have you here today. I love these podcasts because truly, selfishly, I get to reach out, invite my friends to have these really casual but meaningful conversations that we don't always get to have in the busyness of our day and our work. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
We're going to have a great conversation. Before we kickstart this with questions that I'm looking forward to hearing and learning from Lisa, I want to start off by introducing Lisa for those who haven't had the honor of meeting Lisa, working with Lisa, and just knowing Lisa. So I'm going to go to my notes because you have such an impressive bio and contribution of your 22 years plus in the industry. And it is so expansive that I just don't want to miss out on the highlights. So as some of you may know, if you've worked with Lisa, Lisa is a certified yoga therapist, a fitness and yoga teacher, 22 years plus, and is the founder of Sangha Yoga Collective. We're going to talk about that in much more in a moment. The Sangha Yoga Collective is a trauma-informed yoga education school with a philosophy-first focus. Lisa has a strong passion for fitness, yoga, and movement. She has worked with countless individuals. I think you're so humble. It's like thousands upon thousands of individuals, including your own personal practice, using yoga-based practices to release stored trauma from the body, find ease from chronic pain and tension, and a deeper connection to self. You've spent 8 years, Lisa, as director of an international yoga school. That's where we really got to work closely together. And then you courageously took that step forward, setting out on your own path with a mission to honor yogic culture and once again bring yoga philosophy and meditation forward as an imperative part of the yoga practice and teachings. Lisa is an award-winning presenter, an author, and you've devoted your entire career to making a difference inside the yoga and wellness industry. And I know this to be true because I've had the joy of working with you all 22 years, taking your classes. And I want to tell you right here today, in case you've forgotten, but I fell in love with yoga as a part of my teaching career taking yoga classes from you. And that's when I started my yoga practice, when you were with that international yoga school. And I've been teaching yoga regularly since, and I'm forever grateful.
That makes me very happy.
I know. I thought I'd start by sharing that because we often forget until we're in that moment in front of our members and our classes and our community. And often, you're working to share your experiences. And I know it to be true with you because you've got such a humble teaching approach that people always want to talk with you and share their experiences before or after. But I wanted you to know that because often we forget in the busyness of our career and our work that we do create this incredible impact and we help people find, how to align their actions with their deepest aspirations for becoming the person that they dream of becoming and shaping through a career or a practice. And so it's always important to tell your teachers just what they mean to you. So I just wanted to start with that.
Thank you. And I could just flip that script right back around on you for the inspiration to even step into the industry. In this professional standpoint, you have been an inspiration to so many people, but absolutely a mentor and inspiration to me too, Mo. So thank you for being the driving force that you are.
And I will take that with much honor and grace that it's important to, really soak that in. Because, I tell you, every time I have these episodes, these podcast episodes, I also have episodes, but these podcast episodes, it does bring me back to my why and my purpose. And I really feel that now that I've discovered my why, and that happened about a decade ago, although I've been in the industry loving what I do for 40 years, really, I uncovered my understanding of my why to the point where I could share it as part of my story and do that not from a place of boasting, but from a place of sharing so that I could help others find that confidence and courage to uncover their own why so that they could share that in their daily purpose and work with their people and their community.
Yeah, and I totally feel that.
Absolutely. I mean, otherwise, I don't know if we'd still be doing what we do. It's hard work. So if we didn't find the joy in it, would we be still doing it?
Work.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I'm in startup mode again, but yeah, I agree too. I always knew inside of me that moving was really, really important. I never thought about sharing movement with others until I was kind of asked by my mentor at the time, Shelley Taylor, who I know you know well, to come and teach. And I thought she was absolutely crazy. But that really just started, it opened the floodgates truly. And loved every moment of my career and all of these great opportunities that came in front of me. But I agree. It was only probably about 5 years ago now that I really was able to connect with the purpose beyond just, I love to share movement. And now it is the driving force because it's not just, building out a yoga education and sharing yoga education on this level beyond just what we can share in a 60-minute class. That is it is a really important part of my being. But it was really getting to this idea of why I am compelled to share it and at what level, because this is where I shake my head, quite often, because I could just have my certification going in Toronto where I live. I have a great group of individuals that are doing trainings with me. I find so much joy in it, the connection, the community, everything I want is there. But yet there is something that is just a little uncontrollable, but truly it's my why as to wanting to bring this all across Canada, but not even stopping there. Like, my mission is global, and the amount of work it's going to take to go global versus just kind of chilling out in Toronto. And the financial rewards of, you know, the startup going into global, and even what global will look like versus just hanging out in Toronto. I don't know what the differences look like, but again, it's just something that I feel really compelled to do. And I know that I was essentially put on this earth to do that.
That is it. There it
Yeah.
is. You've said it. That
Yeah.
deep, compelling drive that, you know, you don't even know what that drive, you know, what that will look like. And sometimes we don't even know what the heck we're doing, but we just know why. And when you know why, we then trust the way will appear. And you said right off the top of that is mentorship. It is so important, friends, that we not only reach out and lean on our mentors, but acknowledge them, because in doing so, it edifies for them that their work matters, and for you that you too are a mentor for the future generation, for that community you teach, and you experience it locally, and then that deeper drive and why is going to take you global. You know, I know it, you know it. It's just a matter of the world knowing it, and they will very soon. And this is also where conversations like this one perhaps will reach that one person that will open the door for Lisa Greenbaum and the Sangha Yoga Collective to reach them in their part of the world.
Yeah.
So you never know who's listening. On that note, I'd love you to share. Now we're going to dive into, you know, why at this phase in your life you decided to create a startup and, you know, become that entrepreneur, the journey from instructor to entrepreneur with a lot of entrepreneur and entrepreneurial experiences along the way. But before we dive into all that, I'd love you to tell our viewers and listeners about the Sangha Yoga Collective, and do share what the word Sangha means.
Sure. So Sangha is community in Sanskrit. And so that's one of the big whys of why I do this, is because yoga really does bring a powerful community together. And so that's it. Sangha Yoga Collective. And then what we do as an education school is we certify instructors in how to teach yoga. So if you want to become a yoga teacher, we are accredited under the new curriculum with Yoga Alliance. So Yoga Alliance just went through in the last couple of years and really vigorously shook out their curriculum and tightened things up. And so we're part of that new accreditation. And so that's for the 200 hour, which is the foundational. So if you want to teach yoga, that's your foundational certificate. I think of that as like your bachelor's or your undergrad. Beyond that, we also offer a 300 hour, and then 300 plus 200 equals 500 hour, which would be the next level up in yoga teaching. And so we also offer that certificate, which is kind of like your master's. And one of the things that we really focus on in our trainings is providing a depth of education. And so within the 200 hour, it's 5 modules. I've separated each module out by different important topics. So one is yoga foundations, which is the philosophy and the history, because that is the foundation of yoga. The second is yoga in practice. Well, I'm just saying them second. There's no order to these. Yoga in practice, which is the postures and your basic breathing techniques and biomechanics, how to move, how to actually teach people how to move through the postures. Then I have a yoga energy body. Yoga energy body takes things to a next level. We're looking at the subtle body now. So really going deep into our meditation practices, because meditation is an enormous aspect of yoga that is often overlooked. We look at the chakra system, we look at building into our daily practice. And I have a different class format, which is one of my signature classes. That's part of this program, which is called Prana Energy, which weaves together a little bit of movement, asana, some pranayama, breath practices, kriya practices, which are cleansing practices, things like breath of fire, and then moving into mantra and meditation work. So much more in the energy shifting, prana energy, right? Prana is our life energy. So that's what yoga energy body is. And then I have yoga for wellness, and yoga for wellness is the trauma informed certificate. We're looking at how to help people move through mental and emotional trauma to be able to find a little more balance in their health. It's never going to get rid of it, but it will help just create a little bit more balance, a little more connection. And, you know, even as movement instructors, we teach, you know, whether you're a personal trainer, group fitness instructor, or a yoga instructor, we teach people how to move through physical injuries, right? But there's a mental and an emotional component that comes with that. And at the same time, we all, first of all, everyone has experienced trauma to some extent. We all just went through, I hate to bring up this word still, but we did go through the pandemic together. But just in our families, in our personal lives, there's a lot of stuff out there. And when we don't have a safe way to move through it, or we don't feel like we have a safe place, in particular in our yoga classes, to move through it, it just gets stuffed down and it turns into tension and chronic pain. And so we look at all of that in Yoga for Wellness. So there's a chronic pain element, there's modifications, there's a chair yoga practice, and then my other signature class, which is very dear to my heart, which is Yin and Restore, which is one that I share often. It is not yin yoga, it's not restorative yoga, and it's I don't want to say it's not gentle yoga. It's kind of all of it put together. So there's flow, there's pause, there's breath work. It's really about bringing the nervous system back down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then, sorry. And so I'm getting lost in all of my modules. And then the fifth module is teaching skills. So in that 200-hour, the first 4 modules are fully educational. And then a little bit of teaching work in the Yoga for Wellness program. But teaching skills is, I think it's 35 hours of honing your teaching skills. So now that you have all this information, putting your sequencing together, cueing, how to teach groups, how to teach one-on-ones, how to teach virtually, because that's not something that was really discussed a lot up till 5 years ago. So just bringing in all of those components of how to really share this information and share yoga, because sharing yoga is very different than sharing other workout classes.
Oh, wow.
Is the mission.
A couple things. One, when you said virtually just 5 years ago, I'm like, has it been 5 years already that we all
4.
had to overnight? Oh yeah, I think it's 5.
4.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
4. Honest to goodness, it feels like yesterday.
Know, right?
Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of trauma post pandemic that we're still working through. I know I am. But also when you said 35 hours of practical teaching to hone your teaching skills, that's impressive. I can say that from my yoga, my official 200-hour. But that's what I know of you. You really do take the experience and your lived experiences as an instructor to make sure that the instructors that you help to develop have that confidence to be able to teach in whatever setting.
That is the word that I start this program with, is that if you are not, like, my goal is for you to feel confident walking out of these doors to teach, because I know so many people that have gone through their 200 hours and then they kind of finish and they're like, now what?
Now what?
And so if you've already been working in the industry, well, then you kind of get it already. And that's how I started teaching yoga. So I was really lucky, because I just basically went to my general manager and said, hey, I'm certified in yoga now. Can I get a yoga class? And they were like, sure, here you go. But, you know, that was also a really long time ago. When there were a lot more room on schedules. And but I'd already been teaching. Not only had I already been just teaching group fitness, I was teaching body flow, now body balance. I was teaching that for, I think, 7 or 8 years. So I was already really comfortable teaching the yoga postures. But for so many people, they're not. They've either never taught before, or maybe they're personal trainers and have never taught to groups before. And so, you know, just really helping people with their confidence, because I believe, and I know, Mo, you're going to agree with me, that being able to get on stage or stand in front of the room and share a movement practice with people is just, that's everything to me. That's literally everything.
And it's a part of your personality that is different then what else you do, whether it is as a teacher, instructor, or another career that you have.
Yeah.
It really inspires me to ask this question. I'm going to combine it with a question that I want you to dive into as well. Is after the listeners hearing what you just shared, I am certain there are going to be a few that say, well, I don't teach a class. I'm not an instructor. Can I take your training and become a yoga instructor? And you said it so well. It's kind of like going to school and getting your undergrad or your bachelor's. So I assume that anyone can take your yoga certification. So maybe share what percentage of people come to you that are fresh, new to teaching, and then tell us too how yoga has evolved over the last couple of years that has led you to create this type of training that you offer.
Mm-hmm. When I was putting the curriculum together for my trainings, the people that I really had in mind were my regular students, the students that I've had for years and years who love yoga, are totally dedicated to their yoga practice, have other careers in other industries, and maybe wouldn't necessarily want to teach yoga, but definitely wanted more information. And then, so that was the baseline of where I really started to build the curriculum from. And I still try to encourage my students as much as possible, like, come and with all of my modules, whether it's 200 or 300, you can take any module you want. You don't have to sign up for the whole 200-hour program if there's one particular element that just interests you. So I really put that as the forefront, because the thing, like I said, teaching yoga is different than other fitness modalities. Sure, when we get into the biomechanics of movement, that's the same. But what about the cues? What about all of there's a lot of subtlety in yoga of how we instruct that is quite different. And so, yeah, I would say right now, when I'm thinking about my group in Toronto, I think at least 50%, maybe 60% have never taught before.
Oh, wow. Love hearing that.
And I'm thinking of my room, and I'm scanning through all of the people that were sitting in my room in my last training. It might even be higher than that.
Wow.
The only thing that I request is that you have some sort of practice, that you've done a class before. So please just don't come in going, I heard yoga is good for me and I'd like to learn how to teach it. I'm like, well, no, go practice it a little bit first. And it doesn't even matter. And I have virtual classes people can join. Go to your local rec complex, go on YouTube, just take some time to actually go through some yoga postures first to make sure you like it. That's my only prerequisite. But yeah, it's set up for anybody to come in.
That's great. I love the flexibility you offer in how you help people get to their full 200-hour so they can really walk the path in their practice and how they want to become that instructor based on.
Well, and then that's my job, is to inspire them to become the teacher in the end. And guess what? It works almost every single time.
No doubt.
Yeah.
That's how good she is, everyone. Talk about how yoga has changed, perhaps also, and why it's not a trend. And this will tap into your philosophy, I'm sure.
Yes, I'd very much like to talk about this. You might actually have to butt in, because I might not stop talking about this. So yoga is 6,000 years old. It originated in India in the foothills of the Himalayas, long before there were Lululemon yoga pants and B-mat yoga mats, or whatever brand yoga mat that is beautiful right now. Yoga is a philosophy, and it evolved through philosophical texts and discussions into a practice to get us into what we call the state of yoga. So yoga is not something we do, and that is a major misconception. So, 6,000 years ago was long before either of us were on this planet. And it has continued to evolve. And I would say, it was it was around the 50s and 60s that it started to get a little more popular over here in North America anyways, when Satchidananda showed up at Woodstock and Yogi Bhajan set up down in California. Yogi Bhajan brought Kundalini. There's a whole thing with that's a whole other podcast episode. But some of these Indian masters came and brought yoga, and a lot of people that were part of like the hippie movement, free love movement, were drawn to this way of thinking. It was very different. And so the practices started. And then, but kind of, stayed dormant for a little while. And some people that did start practicing then are still practicing and teaching these days. But it was really when fitness started to become much more popularized, in particular group fitness, that things started to really come forward. And actually, one of my first, I guess, glimpses into yoga, you're going to love this. Kathy Smart did a video with Rod Stryker. It was a VHS video that I don't even know where I got it, but I loved it and I would watch it all the time. And I do remember when Kathy Smart, that was her name, right? Isn't it Kathy Smart? Blonde hair? No.
Kathy Smith.
Kathy Smith. Blonde hair. She was a keynote speaker at CamFit Pro many years ago. And I was like,
yep. Now I have to Google it. I'm sure it's got, I know. She's the famous, I learned fitness from her on VHSs.
Yeah. We're not aging ourselves at all here.
No, not at all.
But anyways, she was really a fitness icon. And then that really propelled yoga coming into the fitness world. And, it was wonderful that yoga became so popularized because it turned a lot of heads. I would not have come into yoga if I didn't learn about yoga as a movement modality first. I probably wouldn't have noticed it because I grew up a dancer. Movement is a huge, important part of my life. And so through the 90s, through the early 2000s, until about 16, 17-ish, yoga's very athletic, and it still is very athletic, but also really started to take on a very westernized mentality, which is do better, get better, be stronger, twist yourself into this pose, twist yourself into that pose. And the further we moved into that space in yoga, the further away we actually got from what yoga was. A friend of mine sent me a funny clip of a comedian, an Indian woman comedian, that was saying, I see all these women walking to yoga and they're rushing to yoga with their yoga mats on. Do they not know that this isn't what yoga is? And that's part of it.
Oh, yeah.
But the other piece that I have definitely seen, and it's twofold. I'm going to talk about it from a professional standpoint first, and then I'll drop into what I've seen with my students. But from a professional standpoint, and the other teachers I follow and the other educators that I follow, is that yoga very, very much became a white woman thing, a skinny white woman thing, a skinny young white woman thing. And what happened in that shift is that it did become trendy. Studios became trendy. Yoga clothes became trendy. Yoga props became trendy. It also became very expensive. And without commenting on the teachers, because I know that there are amazing teachers out there, and I also know that there's crap teachers out there. It's like any profession that exists. But this idea that when we, you go on Instagram and you see a girl in a bikini and her legs wrapped behind her head and she's hashtagging it yoga, I'm like, ew, just ew. And so where yoga can so profoundly help people on a physical, an emotional, a mental, and a spiritual level. It helps us connect. It helps us. We were talking about our why. It was through my yoga practice that I helped discover my why. That just more deeply connecting myself, being in stillness and silence and allowing it to bubble up and rise up. And so when that part is missed, we're losing all sorts of people who would just really get so much out of the practice. People who think that they don't fit in. Yoga studios are intimidating. I'm intimidated to go to yoga studios. I rarely go to yoga studios because I find them intimidating. And so I can't even imagine what the average person would feel like. And then of course there is the huge aspect of diversity and inclusion. And so, in group fitness for a long time, we're like, oh, we got to get the men in here. We got to get the men in here. We got to get everybody in here. And so it's making sure that, we are really honoring the culture. And there's a few people that are really leading this charge. There's a woman named Tejal, and I cannot think of her last name right now, but I follow her on Instagram. There's another woman, Susanna Bartaki. They've just created another enterprise called Yoga. And what they're trying to do is basically bring yoga back to its South Asian roots, because yoga originated from India, and a lot of people grew up with yoga. Their grandmothers taught them how to do yoga. It's another kind of funny meme out about, yoga was meant to be done in our pajamas, and which is how I do my yoga most of the time. Of course, not when I'm teaching, because that's not really appropriate. But it got so far removed from the culture. And so now what we see is spiritual bypassing left, right, and center. Spiritual bypassing. Ooh, tell us more. So it's basically the lack of honoring culture. It's basically going through a 1-hour yoga class, whether you're a teacher or a student, and, being fully present and breathing. And then when you go to put your stuff away, you're elbowing someone or giving someone shit because they went in front of you, or, tearing out of the parking lot or honking at somebody. Yoga is meant to be a 24-hour, 7-day a week, 365 day practice. It doesn't end. It doesn't start at 9:00 when the class starts and end at 10:00. And so that's a big part of it. And then just not understanding the translations and the meanings of Sanskrit words, not understanding how certain mudras are supposed to be used, or certain breath practices are supposed to be used. And so when people don't understand something, they kind of just go, oh, well, this is good enough. I'll fake it till I make it. And, while that can work in some things, we have to be really careful when you're sharing a mantra and you're not pronouncing it properly, or you're not even saying it correctly, because it's like basically calling your arm your leg, and then expecting people to just go, oh, okay, so now my arm is my leg. And they're going to walk around for the rest of their life saying, oh, this is my leg and it's my arm. And then another teacher comes to correct them and say, no, you're wrong. And so there's this whole broken game of telephone that's happened. And so, even the namaste, 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 bitches, gross. We have to, it's 6,000 years old. There has to be some honor aspect, that we are just truly honoring. And so that is an absolute forefront of how my curriculum rolls. And I don't know everything about yoga. I don't even pretend. Sometimes I get something wrong. If it's ever pointed out to me, I will absolutely correct it. I will own it. I've been very careful about how I have chosen the curriculum, the resources that I'm using, and also, recognizing I am a white woman, though not so young. Can't help the package that I got brought into in this world, but I can absolutely open doors and create. I live in Toronto. It's one of the most multicultural cities on the planet. So everything should look the way my city should look, whether it's in my classes or my teachers or who's working for me or who I surround myself with. And so that's another important mission that I'm on as well, is to really not just, I've seen so many yoga schools because, you know, we've all seen this huge DEI movement come through, and especially in our industry, because this is the industry that we're in. And so I see, you know, scholarships awarded to BIPOC students. I'm like, okay, well, that's awesome. But it's not always a financial thing. And second, it's not just that we need more teachers. We need more presenters. We need more master trainers. We need more people at the top, just like we were talking about with mentorship, right, Mo? So like, you know, you've always been a natural mentor for me. Your career was already set when I started to start teaching, and I just watched you and went, wow, I would be like that. And so, you know, for our teachers that are coming up, for the teenagers, for the 10-year-old girls that are sitting there looking through Instagram, you know, and yoga's popping up and they're like, oh yeah, yoga's not for me. Yoga's not for me. Like it's not.
Well, we want it to be. You're right. And it is a philosophy, as you said, and you don't need to be a teacher to practice that philosophy. It's a life philosophy, right? Like you said. And I have to share that, you know, I teach yoga on Saturdays. I practice it as often as I can throughout the week. I do go to a yoga studio. I can relate to what you said earlier about intimidation. But, you know, I love the fact that when I go to a yoga studio, I feel intimidated, because it humbles me to realize that that's not how I want my students or those who walk into the studio to feel coming into my class. So I really remind myself every week how I need to show up and the philosophy that I share, so that it'll be more inclusive to all bodies and all abilities. And I'm also, every Saturday, because I teach Saturdays, I, you know, start on Wednesdays when I'm in the gym talking about my class on Saturdays, to sort of share the philosophy so people realize that it's open to all. Because as you also said, Lisa, it's understanding the meaning of the practice and the language that you use, so that you can, you know, respect the practice, but also respect the person. It's not just like, you know, namaste, let's all breathe and be, you know, calm, cool, and strong in our daily life, and then go off and, you know, get in your car and piss somebody off when you're in a hurry to get somewhere. I always come back to being the best version of myself every Saturday at 12 noon. That sort of resets my philosophy for the week. And I'm so grateful for yoga for that, whether it's a student or being a teacher. So I love it that you talked so much about the importance of it being a philosophy, not just a trendy practice or wearing the clothes or knowing the moves, but understanding the why and how knowing why can change you as a human person contributing in the world today.
Yeah. The other thing too I'm thinking about is that I remember, you know, probably about 10 or 15 years ago, there was this sort of snobby, like, look down your nose at a yoga teacher who didn't teach at a yoga studio, if you taught at a fitness center or a recreation center. And it was almost like that yoga wasn't the same yoga, or it wasn't good enough. And I freaking promise you, I teach a very well-rounded, grounded, and authentic yoga class in my classes in the health club that I teach at, which is Good Life Fitness. And just to plug my classes here in Toronto, why not? And I will continue to teach in fitness centers, because I know when I teach at a fitness center, I get a chance to reach a way larger audience. And I do. And the people that come to my class, I love them. They bring light to my life every week.
I absolutely agree. I feel like I'm with my people, and the people that I really want to create or give permission for them to take those steps to move themselves forward. That's part of my inspiring global change, but it starts right here in my home, in my city of London, in my fitness club, Good Life Fitness, and then out into the world. And that's what I love about yoga as well, is it's everywhere in the world. and it is a joy to experience. It's a joy to be part of the teaching philosophy of yoga. And, we need more yoga instructors. So for those listening,
We
I'm
do.
going to pivot for a second because I want to talk about a really important area right now. You've embarked on this new journey, a startup company, daringly at this time in your career and life. And, I hear a lot about work-life balance, especially in the summertime. And as I was preparing to write my summertime blog, it talks about finding more balance to work less and, be at the beach more, or whatever you find joy and relaxation. So I want to ask you that question, but let's make it twofold. Tell us about, because I know there's people that are going to go, I think I might just want to embark on this. So let us know, where are you offering your next yoga foundational training or next training experience? And then tell us why you chose to step into the startup and how you find still the balance, or however you define it, Lisa, to take time out of your entrepreneurial work to take time for self-care, self-reflection, and just enjoying this beautiful time of year.
Okay. So first of all, we have trainings coming up this fall in Toronto and in Vancouver in September, and in Ottawa in November. Our trainings have also all moved into a hybrid format. So there's definitely in-person time in every training module, but we've also opened up some more spaces just to meet virtually, just to help with accessibility. So that will be this fall, and we have a whole training list. We actually have our trainings planned out for the next 12 months right now on our website, which is sangayogacollective.com. And you can just go right under the spot that says, oh gosh, now I can't remember what my website says, but something about, it's a training schedule anyways. But yeah, it's somewhere in that spot, but that's where you can find that information. What was the next one? Why did I decide to start a business? I ask myself that every day, Mo.
That's good that you do. That's good that you do, because it helps you keep tuning in to what is your why, right?
Yeah, I think the truth is that I had to, and I don't mean like I physically had to or I financially had to. Something deep in my gut said, you have to do this. And so it was interesting, because I think you probably remember that in 2019, 2020, I was actually developing a retreat business. And that was where I thought I was going to go with my next layer of my career, and started the business, was all set to launch in spring of 2020, ... And so when I couldn't work, like so many other people couldn't work in this industry for quite a while, doing some virtual teaching, certainly, I started thinking about putting some education stuff together and just sharing some larger programs. And at the time, they were just like 4-hour just programs on different elements of yoga, trauma-informed yoga. And the first day that I woke up to actually lead one of these workshops, which was the first time I'd done it in, I think, four years. It was the happiest that I had actually been in. I couldn't even tell you how long. And so that was the seed that planted. And then from there, it was actually in a meditation that it came up that this is what I had to do. And I remember telling my husband, and he was like, yeah. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah. He's like, I've been telling you this forever. And I'm like, you what? Okay. So obviously I was just ignoring him or not clued into that. I had to come to it on my own. But I think, that combined with, the mission that I've been rambling on and on about since we started talking, between those two things, I had to.
Oh man. That's it. Love it. Alignment and trusting trusting the gift that you were given. For you, it's your gut. I lead with my gut too, Lisa.
Yeah.
Many of my mentors lead with another gift. They lead with their heart. and the combination of what is it that leads you to those profound, insights
Mhm.
that lead to those courageous decisions. You have to
Yeah.
trust that alignment
Yeah, my
with your
heart and my head
why.
are both kind of like, seriously, you're doing this again? You're another startup.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you
but
know what? You
here
know
I
it.
am.
Here you are. You have a mission
Yes, I
that you have
do.
accepted. If you
Big
choose to
mission.
accept this mission, and you've got the people to support you, one of those people is CanFit Pro, and
Yes, very
we had
grateful.
an exciting announcement last year of a partnership with CanFit Pro. So quickly tell us about this partnership and how people can learn more about you. And
Mhm.
you also have a free ebook. So tell us about that. And then
Sure, yeah.
I'm
So
going
if
to
you go
ask you
on
a
my
question else after
website,
that. Yeah.
there'll be a pop-up that asks you to join the mailing list so we can share all the information. And
Okay.
once you do that, you'll get access to the free ebook I wrote, which is Gratitude Stories, which has some insights into different elements of gratitude, where we find gratitude in different parts of our life, some journal questions, a
Okay.
nice,
Wow.
a nice thing to be pondering over during those summer months.
Yes.
Um, and then the partnership with CanFit Pro, obviously in Canada, a really incredibly important partnership to have. So we provide continuing education credits for every single one of our trainings. And we also provide CanFit Pro members a 10% off individual training. So any individual training you can get 10% off, and that code CFP Yoga 10, but it's on the website, so you don't have to write that down. And then if you want to actually do your whole 200-hour, we offer an additional 5%. So CanFit Pro
Oh,
members get 15% off of their
wow.
200-hour. Yeah. So
Wow.
if you know that that's what you want to do, you just can go on the website, go under registration. There's a deposit, so $450 deposit. And then there's a note section, and you just put in, I'm a CanFit Pro member, and we will contact you. And in the 200-hour, there's a payment plan. And so we'll set you up on the payment plan, set you up with a discount through that payment plan. And then you let us know what trainings that you want to go to. So you don't have to do the next 5 trainings in a row. You can pick and choose. You can even jump cities if you want. So we try and make it nice and easy for people.
Oh, that's wonderful. And of
Yeah.
course, if you are a CanFit Pro member, or if you want to become a CanFit Pro member, you can actually become a member for free. If you want to become a
Oh,
professional member of CanFit Pro, there is a membership that you pay for. It's part of becoming certified. But you can
right.
also go to canfitpro.com, and you can find connection to the Sangha Yoga Collective there as well, because as a partner, you're listed on that website. And you mentioned there's lots of ways you can get a hold of Lisa. You're on Instagram with at sangha.yoga.collective. Also
Yes,
at
please
Lisa
like us. We need
Greenbaum.
more followers.
Follow the Sangha Yoga Collective.
Please.
And also, and I'm always learning. So I take full opportunity to learn every moment that I have, because it fuels me. You say that you loved LinkedIn. Tell us why we should love LinkedIn really briefly, because I want to talk about the other thing that we both love.
Okay. You know what? I love LinkedIn because you are on there networking with people who are interested in their careers.
Okay.
And that is the whole point. Now, for LinkedIn to really work for you, you do have to have a paid, you have to pay into one of their premier packages.
Okay.
But the amount of connections that I have within the industry all over the world is astounding. And I use it as a tool more so personally than I use my social media as a tool these days to connect with other people in the industry and share about yoga, or, just other wonderful things that are happening at the professional level of the industry, like all the wonderful trade shows happening, like the CanFit Pro trade show or
All right.
conference, happening in August. Oh yeah, that thing.
Wow. Oh, that thing. Well, thank you
That
for
thing.
sharing that. That is a really good business tip. Thank you,
Yeah,
Lisa.
you're
And
welcome.
speaking of CanFit Pro conference and trade show, it is our global event. It is the premier Canadian event for the fitness industry. It takes place this August August 9th and 10th, and it is surrounded by a trade show, the largest in the country. A lot of exciting things happening. Tell us about the sessions that Sangha Yoga Collective will be offering with yourself and your team. And then we'll close up.
Okay, I would love to. So we have a dedicated room, which I am really, really excited for. I'm going to start off the Friday morning with Prana Energy, which is the core class I was already telling you about. And I'm actually closing the conference on Saturday with Yin and Restore. And my dear friend, teacher, and mentor, Tracy, is coming in to do sound healing with that class. So that will be a first of its kind. We also have Ayurveda foundations. We have back bending, heart opening practice. And the other element that I am beyond excited for is first of its kind yoga panel, which is yoga in today's world. And I think you might know all the different things I'm going to talk about because I rambled on about them many, many times within this time together.
Well,
but I'm really excited for it.
It's a great insight. And as you said, and it's far from rambling, Lisa, the joy of the spoken word. And it is just so great to spend time with you. But that, everyone, if you are intrigued to perhaps pursue your journey with yoga, take a yoga certification, you could always come to CanFit Pro Global, experience what Lisa has been speaking about, and see what it's about for you. Meet other people like yourself and other yogis, because the power of being at an in-person event is undescribable unless you're there, right?
That's right. Yes.
And I love that your trainings are hybrid because you can do some of that work in a virtual space, which is also convenient. So if one way to get
some, but not all.
But not all. So
right.
while we'd love to see you in person at CanFit Pro Global, there is an online event as well. And the features of this year, I could go on for hours, but I can't. So I'll just simply say that there are well over 150 sessions to choose from, presenters and experts from all over the world. And this year, it is a 2-day event featuring 3 keynote addresses. And so we're bringing you even more impact at the event in Toronto, and those keynotes will be live streamed to our online delegation. Friends, you can go to canfitpro.com/events 2024/global. That will get you right to the event page where you can then register, take a look at the curriculum, register for the event. And the official event app is now available on at your favorite app store or Google Play Store under CanFit Pro Global. And you can see, and you can even select your sessions once you're registered. I do want to close off by letting you all know that we're here today to, share this inspiring conversation to inspire you to soar to success, soar to the next level of your personal and professional development. And in doing so, it's by leaning in, listening in, and then, of course, stepping out of your personal into a global space. So we hope you can join us. Meet Lisa where she's at, meet me wherever I'm at. We're both going to be here together at CanFit Pro Global in August. I do want to bring Lisa back to close today because, again, I love learning from this human, and I'm always looking for beautiful closing quotes or statements, philosophy. What's one of your favorite, Lisa, that you'd like to close today's session, just like you'd close off a class? And I'd love that because I'm going to pay it forward by sharing it with my class.
Hold this off of my my board in front of my computer here, and it is, there is a stream of love supporting my dreams. So this is the Universe Has Got Your Back card deck, and I like to pull cards every now and then just to refresh my way of thinking. But I pulled this one when I first started thinking about putting this business together, and this one has stayed out of the pack and on my board. So I'm going to share that with everybody else because I think that that's something.
There is a stream of love supporting my dreams. I love it. Thank you.
And if you want me to close off like I close off a yoga class? I can do it very quickly.
Please.
All right. So we'll bring our hands to heart center. Bring your thumbs against your sternum so you feel that connection. Take a big breath in and a slow breath out. And in deep gratitude for this powerful gift that is yoga. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. The light within me honors that powerful light within you, which is Namaste.
Namaste.
And
there we
you.
have it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank
and
you.
I wish you all the best until we meet in a number of weeks.
Yes.
And until then, enjoy summertime. It's a beautiful time to, reflect inward and step forward. And until next time, be well.